Hi, hi, hi! It's time for some Chapter 2 Positively Pooh for today. Today is April 6th, in case we're trying to keep track. And it's partly cloudy, so take note of that on what to wear. So, Chapter 2 is called For Those Bothersome Days, which we are all having right now. Flowers brighten up even the most bothersome of days. Piglet had got up early that morning to pick himself a bunch of violets, and when he had picked them and put them in a pod in the middle of his house, it suddenly came over him that nobody had ever picked Eeyore a bunch of violets. And the more he thought of this, the more he thought how sad it must be to be an animal who had never had a bunch of violets picked for him. So he hurried out again, saying to himself, Eeyore, Violet, and then Violet, Eeyore, in case he forgot, because it was that sort of a day. Avoid people who make you miserable. It's bad enough, said Eeyore, almost breaking down, being miserable by myself. What, with no presents and no cake and no candles and no proper notice taken of me at all? But if everybody else is going to be miserable too. Look the part, so you'll feel ready for anything. As soon as he saw the big boots, Pooh knew that an adventure was going to happen. And he brushed the honey off of his nose with the back of his paw and spruced himself up as well as he could so as to look ready for anything. Those with a brain don't always know it all. Owl looked at the notice again. To one of his education, the reading of it was easy. Gone out, back son. Busy, back son. Just the sort of thing you expect to see on a notice. It is quite clear what has happened, my dear rabbit, he said. Christopher Robin has gone out somewhere with Backson. He and Backson are busy together. Have you seen a Backson anywhere about in the forest lately? Things are often better than they seem. Piglet lay there, wondering what had happened. At first he thought that the whole world had blown up, and then he thought that perhaps only the forest part of it had, and then he thought that perhaps only he had. And he was never now alone in the moon or somewhere, and would never see Christopher Robin or Pooh or Eeyore again. And then he thought, well, even if I'm in the moon, I needn't be face downwards all the time. So he got cautiously up and looked about him. He was still in the forest. Well, that's funny, he thought. I wonder what that bang was. I couldn't have made such a noise just falling down. And where's my balloon? And what's this small piece of damp rag doing? Sometimes you are wonderful, even when you don't know it. Did I really do all that? Piglet said at last. Well, said Pooh, in a piece of poetry, well, you did it. Piglet, because the poetry says you did it, and that's how people know. Oh, said Piglet, because I thought I did blench a little, just at first. And it says, did he blench? No, that's why. You've only blenched inside, said Pooh, and that's the bravest way for a very small animal not to blench that there is. Pooh sighed with happiness and began to think about himself. He was brave. No one is perfect. Owl, wise though he was in many ways, able to read and write and spell his own name, W-O-L, somehow went all to pieces over delicate words like measles and buttered toast. A bad day can always improve. Eeyore, the old gray donkey, stood by the side of the stream and looked at himself in the water. Pathetic, he said. That's what it is, pathetic. But nobody minds, nobody cares. Pathetic, that's what it is. There was a crackling noise in the bracken behind him, and out came Pooh. You seem sad, Eeyore. Sad? Why should I be sad? It's my birthday, the happiest day of the year. Your birthday, said Pooh in great surprise. Stay there, he called to Eeyore as he turned and hurried back home as quick as he could, for he felt that he must get poor Eeyore a present of some sort at once, and he could always think of a proper one afterwards. You can always remedy an awful mistake. Where was I going? Ah, yes, Eeyore. He got up slowly, and then suddenly he remembered he had eaten the present. Bother, said Pooh. What shall I do? I must give him something. For a little while he couldn't think of anything. Then he thought, well, it is a very nice pot, even if there's no honey in it. And I washed it clean and got somebody to write a happy birthday on it. Eeyore could keep these things in it, which might be useful. Do you remember the last time you enjoyed yourself? That's right, said Eeyore. Sing, diddly, too. Here we go, gathering nuts in May. Enjoy yourself. I am, said Pooh. Sure can, said Eeyore. Bees and trees will calm and soothe. One day, Rabbit and Piglet were sitting outside Pooh's front door listening to Rabbit, and Pooh was sitting with them. It was a drowsy summer afternoon, and the forest was full of gentle sounds, which all seemed to be saying to Pooh, "Don't listen to Rabbit, listen to me." So he got into a comfortable position for not listening to Rabbit, and from time to time he opened his eyes to say, "Ah," and then closed them again. Maintain your youthful enthusiasm. By the time it came to the edge of the forest, the stream had grown up so much that it was almost a river. And being grown up, it did not run, jump, and sparkle along as well as it used to when it was younger, but it moved more slowly. For it knew now where it was going, and it said to itself, "There is no hurry. We shall get there someday." But all the little streams higher up in the forest went this way and that, quickly, eagerly, having so much to find out before it was too late. Prioritize on those bothering sort of days. Order of things to look for. A special place, Piglet, to find a small, Rabbit, and then to find a small again. Leave behind the things that do not matter. Christopher Robin came down from the forest to the bridge, feeling all sunny and careless, and just as if twice 19 didn't matter a bit, as it didn't on such a happy afternoon, and he thought that if he stood on the bottom rail of the bridge and leaned over and watched the river slipping slowly away beneath him, then he would suddenly know everything that there was to be known, and he would be able to tell Pooh, who wasn't quite sure about some of it. Always look on the bright side. I shouldn't be surprised if it hailed a good deal tomorrow, Eeyore was saying. Blizzards and whatnot. Being fine today doesn't mean anything. It might never happen. Supposing a tree fell down, Pooh. When were we underneath it? Supposing it didn't, said Pooh, after careful thought. Piglet was comforted by this. I will bring you chapter 3 soon. Make sure you keep your happy face smiling and you stay positive. I know these times are tough. I miss you very, very much, and hopefully we will be back in the classroom soon. Ta-ta for now.